Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here on CBS News Detroit on the noon stream. I'm Terrence Friday.
And I'm Meredith Bruckner. We'll check in with next weather meteorologist Karen Carter in just a few moments. But before we do, we're continuing our special coverage today of the trial of Jennifer Crumbley, the mother of the Oxford school shooter. It's underway this afternoon, and this morning we saw opening statements and the first witness testimony.
Our Andres Gutierrez is live outside of the Oakland County courthouse. Andres, we've been watching this trial play out all morning. Lots happening. What is it like from your perspective?
Well, Terrence, just like the Miller hearing for the Oxford High School shooter, this one is filled with emotions for his mother. In fact, just before we took a lunch break there, his mom broke down in tears, sobbing uncontrollably, pretty loud in the courtroom as she was watching surveillance video of her son walking through the hallways that fateful day, walking past one of his victims, Tate Meir. Now, during opening statements, as you've been hearing all morning long, the prosecution told jurors that Jennifer Crumbley is a mom who had several chances to intervene in her son's downward spiral, but failed to do so. And because of that, she is responsible for the 4 deaths that day, even though she herself did not pull the trigger. The defense attorney, Shannon Smith, began her opening statements in a unique way, quoting that Taylor Swift song Bad Blood, saying that, quote, Band-Aids don't fix bullet holes. And in the context that the prosecutor here, Karen McDonald, is attempting to put a Band-Aid on problems that cannot be fixed by a Band-Aid, that essentially she wants to see some justice for the community as a whole, but the parents cannot do that just by putting them on trial. She argued that Jennifer Crumbley doesn't know much about the guns that were in the household at the time and placed the responsibility on her husband, James.
That's why we're here. We're not here to talk about good parenting or bad parenting. It's not illegal to be a bad parent. We're not here to put restrictions on gun owners. That's not our job. That's not your job. That's for lawmakers. We're not here to talk about who else might be culpable or who else you think shares some blame. You will learn about the meeting on November the 30th. You may not like the fact that neither the school counselor nor the dean of students searched the school shooter's backpack. That's okay. That's okay. Because that does not mitigate Jennifer Crumbley's culpability.
When she saw the materials in this case, she learned that her son had not been her son for months, that he had been manipulating her, that he had been hiding things from her, that he had been sending text messages, alarming text messages, to other people. You will hear that the school never advised Mrs. Crumbley of problematic issues that if she had heard about, she would have jumped right on top of it. Despite the fact the evidence will show that Mrs. Crumbley is on power schools, managing missing assignments by her son in his grades, the school never told her about times the shooter was trying to sleep in class, about a test he had failed, about the shooter being called to the office. She was never informed.
And so far, we have heard from 3 witnesses, starting with Molly Darnell, the teacher who was wounded by the shooter that day, Christy Gibson, the assistant principal who encountered Tate Meir that morning and then that afternoon rather, and then also the employee of the store where James Crumbley bought the gun on Black Friday that the shooter eventually used that day. These 3 witnesses are part of the more than 100 on the witness list that we may hear over the next course of the 2 weeks. Reporting live in Pontiac, Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, Detroit.
All right, thank you, Andres. We will be checking in with you throughout the day from there for updates. Now, as Andres mentioned, that Taylor Swift moment in the courtroom. Let's take a listen.
On my way to court today, I blasted Taylor Swift to warm up my voice and calm my nerves. And there was a line in one of her songs that summarized what this case is about. Band-Aids don't stop bullet holes. And that's what this case is about. It's about the prosecution attempting to put a Band-Aid on problems that can't be fixed with a Band-Aid. The prosecution has charged Jennifer Crumbley with involuntary manslaughter in an effort to make the community feel better, in an effort to make people feel like someone is being held responsible, in an effort to send a message to gun owners, and none of those problems will be solved by charging Jennifer Crumbley with involuntary manslaughter.
Smith continued on to say, quote, a Band-Aid will never bring back the lives that were lost by Hannah, Justin, Tate, and Madison Baldwin. So just to recap, Jennifer Crumbley is charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter.
She and her husband, James, are both accused of ignoring warning signs and failing to prevent their son from going on a rampage. He killed 4 students and injured 7 others at a Michigan high school in 2021. Elaine Keano has more.
The defendant shall serve the rest of his life without the possibility of parole.
1 month after their son was sentenced to life in prison, the parents of school shooter Ethan Crumbley are standing trial themselves.
There are a number of warning signs that the prosecution is going to point to and say that the parents' actions amount to involuntary manslaughter.
The prosecution alleges Jennifer Crumbley and her husband James ignored their 15-year-old son's mental health struggles, including troubling drawings, and even bought him a handgun as a gift.
This is the gun I'm going to use. This is 2 weeks before the shooting.
On the day of the shooting at Oxford High School, prosecutors alleged the Crumbleys refused to take their son home after a teacher reported seeing him search for ammunition on his phone, prompting Jennifer Crumbley to allegedly text her son, "You have to learn not to get caught." Several days after the shooting, James and Jennifer Crumbley were arrested in a Detroit warehouse where police said they were hiding. They've been held in jail since, unable to post bail, with James Crumbley being tried separately in March.
The fact that the parents are not standing trial together is not rare, but I absolutely think it indicates that they expect to point the finger at each other.
It's also possible for Ethan Crumbley to take the stand in both his parents' trials.
His attorneys have advised him not to testify, not to provide evidence. His parents' attorneys obviously want him to testify and say, I am the one who is responsible for my actions. It was not my parents.
The jury for Jennifer Crumbley was seated yesterday. It's made up of 10 women and 7 men. Both parents have pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter charges. And here in Michigan, that charge carries a maximum penalty of 15 years in prison. Elaine Quijano, CBS News, Pontiac, Michigan.